Welcome back, everybody, to today's Market Explained show, a 4-star video and media event podcast. We have Leo Gestetner, who is with us here. Leo is a serial entrepreneur and is going to tell us some very interesting things about being an entrepreneur, about different companies he's founded. So, Leo, welcome on board, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate you inviting me to join you.
Absolutely. We love to talk to people who've done great things, and maybe could you introduce yourself and your company and some of the main things that you're doing now, and then we'll go do background after that.
So, these days I have two main companies that I focus on. I've been an entrepreneur for many years and always done multiple things. I have a offshore staffing business. So Thankz Global Staffing, we provide US companies with high quality staff. We've got staff now based in about 17 countries across 5 continents. Launched 4 years ago, grown like a rocket, and working with a lot of accounting, marketing, e-commerce, and IT roles. So that's the sort of largest of the businesses at the moment. I also have a software business we launched in 2012, where we build AI-driven private networking tools for large corporates. So we work with companies with 50,000 plus employees to build engagement amongst their staff. So those are the two main businesses. I'm also chairman of a charity where on the West Coast we teach entrepreneurship to underserved communities. So that's a real passion of mine. And I know you talking about how people can really become entrepreneurs, and I think that's something that we try and teach.
Teach how to do it. Well, learning how you started Thankz, that's only 4 years in, and you're already all around the world.
Yeah, I think last year grew 4x the year before. This year we're already over 50% up on the year, and we'll probably finish this year at least double, if not triple the size we started the year. And that's with basically no marketing. That's word of mouth and a little bit of outreach.
So you're helping people staff. So there are staffing companies out there 5 years ago that were already there. So what are you doing that's different, and how did you grow so quickly?
So, we come from, I think of myself as sort of our largest customer. So, we very much have designed it around what entrepreneurs want. I've been staffing from countries around the world for 20 plus years right now. When I the software business 11 years ago, I took a decision to be fully offshore, fully remote from day one. Made a lot of mistakes, got a lot wrong before we got it right. But made those mistakes on my dime. And really that's where the staffing business came from. I'm like, well, we've got really good at how to provide skilled staff and how to manage those staff and make them successful. And let's offer that to other people. So that's why we launched Thankz, to provide that fully managed staffing service. So we can provide people to US companies at probably about a third of the cost of what it would generally cost them locally. But also it's skilled staff who stick around long term. So, a lot of our customers say the problem they find is they're hiring people locally in the US, and it's hard to keep them much longer than a year because they can all get that next pay rise, that next jump going to a company around the corner. Most of our staff stick around long term. So we're trying to provide the right environment that creates minimal churn in terms of staff and in terms of customers. So it's about building that long term, and that really resonates well. The other things we do a little differently is very Western mindset. So I'm based in Los Angeles. My business partner is based in Portugal. So we are a Western mindset company and enforcing those kind of standards across our team. No minimum requirements. So, it doesn't matter to us if someone only wants to hire one person. If you want to hire 10, 20 people, fine. But you can start with one. No long-term contracts. Again, a point of difference. As an entrepreneur, I hate long-term contracts. So for us, you can terminate any point with a month's notice. And that's fine with me. If we're not performing, then you shouldn't be stuck in a long-term contract. So that's, again, a point of difference for us. A lot of our competitors are requiring minimum contracts, which to me is a very one-sided thing.
So by freeing them up and actually doing better, you make the business sticky anyway. You don't have to control them with some kind of a contract.
Yeah, I mean, I've never liked long-term contracts. I mean, my mobile phone provider will give me a discount if I sign a 2-year contract. I still don't do that. I just don't like that whole thing of being locked in. I think it's a one-way thing. You're not performing, you're stuck into a contract. But if you are performing, you'll be with them years anyway. So that's sort of pretty much my mindset.
Did you have any funding to take the business worldwide, or did it just self-generate from cash flow?
So we've got no external investors, so all the funding has come from me personally, and but we've actually grown pretty much. We were profitable within a year, so most of it's been self-generated, has been internally generated.
Good, excellent. Well, that sounds like a great success story. Now, turning to your other company, Zenvoy, you said the hot button, AI, artificial intelligence, right? So tell us about that. That's like the hot button. ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, we've been doing AI for 11 years. It wasn't hot back then. I often say to people, our AI is not like what you think of as AI now. So, it is not a conversational AI. It's not designed for that. It doesn't need to be. Our AI is designed around working out within an organization who should be meeting with whom. And continuing to learn and become more and more accurate as time goes on. So the system is looking both at, whenever we get feedback, is saying, okay, how can the algorithm adjust itself? But also it's saying, some people are really good at giving feedback, some people are terrible at giving feedback. So we also do what we call tangential learning, where if someone similar to you has given feedback, then we'll use that to improve your matches as well. And so, it's all about working out those ideal matches and continuing to learn and refine itself. So we launched we launched 11 years ago. So the first version of our algorithm probably launched about 9 years ago, and it's gone through, I think, 4 major updates since then. And at some point, and we do actually, so within Zenvoy, it's all our internally generated algorithms, because that will work well. We've actually taken all of our AI experience, and within Thankz, we actually do have an AI team that both develop AI tools internally, so it allows us to provide a higher and higher quality person, because our algorithm is looking at who has been successful, who hasn't been successful, and trying to understand up front what we might look for. It's also looking for patterns ongoing where there might be issues we're not spotting. And then we also do some AI development for our customers as well. Again, taking the experience we've done for 10 plus years. Although now the AI development we're doing for our customers is using tools like ChatGPT. There's no point in us developing anything from scratch. There's perfectly good tools out there that we can leverage for our customers as well.
So I noticed a bit of an accent that's not generally an American accent. How about you give us a little bit more background?
I always think it's funny because I'm not sure there is an American accent, but different accents in America. But yeah, my accent's British.
That's right. There.
I moved here 13 and a half years ago now with my wife and kids.
Nice. From where? The UK?
Yeah. We were living in central London.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Well, good. Well, we're a country of immigrants and people. Everyone wants to come here because we can get things done and you have the freedom to do a lot of great things. And looks like you really are. So anyway, so back to the AI. So what is your version of AI? It's not write me a speech and boom, and they write it. How does yours work?
So I mean, within Thankz, we actually do develop AI algorithms that are chat-based algorithms. So where you can, say for clients, for example, they can query their databases and get more intelligent. But if I look at Zenvoy, so our software business, our AI algorithm is designed to run in the background. So there is no front end to it. There is no conversational side. It is just continuing to churn data and work out. I always look at it as it'll go through. Let's say you've got 100,000 employees. It might look through. Each match it's working out, it might look through a million different versions of that and work out which is going to be best. But then as it works through, it works out probability across the whole team. And that's how I've always described it. And it's fun. I actually saw a great description the other day. I was reading about ChatGPT, and it said, really what we think of as AI today, which will be fundamentally different in a couple of years, maybe even in 6 months, what we think of as AI today is really the world's most advanced autocomplete system. So all AI is doing right now is it's saying, okay, here's a potential next letter or next word. Let's run a million different ones to see which has the highest probability of being the word that is appropriate for this. They're in a ton of intelligence. It's really probability. Now that's growing exponentially, but that's where it is today.
It is. Okay. Interesting. So where do you see that business growing, kind of 3, 5, 10 years out? Zenvoy.
So my staffing business or my software business?
Oh, Zenvoy. Yeah. The
software business.
Software.
Okay. So, it's hard to know. I mean, I not having external investors allows me to not have to actually have some aggressive growth plans. I've never been a believer in building revenue for the sake of revenue and therefore hoping that you can sell for massive multiples. I believe in building profitable businesses. So, they continue to grow. I don't really care how fast it grows. If it's a profitable business, I've got no one I'm answering to. So, Zenvoy go? I mean, our target is to win, a couple of large corporates a year. We don't need to grow massively. We're very hands-on. We provide a fantastic service to our customers, very white glove, and they love that, rather than just giving a set of generic tools. And we don't look for fast growth. We look to continue supporting existing customers and grow with, those, as I said, sort of 50,000 plus employee companies. We want 1 or 2 of those a year. We're perfectly happy with that.
Sounds great. And you've had some great success. You're an industry leader in both industries that you're in, the main companies at least. But we all know that being an entrepreneur isn't all, cake and champagne. So you had some tough times, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's been definite ups and downs. I often say when I talk to the kids in the charity I'm involved in, I'm like, don't become an entrepreneur if you think it's the easy option, or because you think you're going to make more money. Because I've got many friends who have made much more money than I have for a long time, getting typical corporate jobs. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy option, but it's fun. It's exciting. It's, the successes are yours, but so are the losses. Our software business, it took a while to get right. In fact, when we first launched it, the very first version of it was actually about a digital business card exchange using QR codes. And the funny thing is, this was back in 2012. No one knew what a QR code was, so we had to develop the app that people could use to use the QR code, which was another whole barrier to people using it. So, funny enough, if we launched that business today, I think it would grow gangbusters. But when we launched it back then, that was hard, and we pivoted, and we realized, sticking with the same thing, which is a business card exchange, in the end is about networking. And as we built that and we understood what our customers wanted, it evolved into what it is today.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And you've been involved in some athletics as well, I believe, some activity there. And is there any parallels between athletics and business?
I mean, I am a triathlete. I think fitness is important. I think, I do think, healthy body, healthy mind. I think the two do go well together. And I can certainly, if I'm having a stressful day, as we all do sometimes, going out for an hour or two to run is a great way to clear the mind and get back into things. I think, for me, triathlons and fitness is a personal journey, but, it's something I love. I'm happy to say sort of my kids enjoy it as well. So I was work out with them. My kids being 18 and 21 now. Yeah.
Good. So you started as a teenager 30 years ago. Tell us about your first company.
So I was 13 actually when I started my first business.
13.
Yeah. So first business was selling secondhand computers. So I started selling secondhand computers. And then by about the age of 16, I was selling new computers, what brand that doesn't exist anymore, but one of the time was the largest computer brand in the UK. I became the exclusive dealer for North London at the age of 16. So built that. I then sold that when I went off to university. That was sort of my first business. And we were also selling computers and also writing software. So I used to write EPOS systems for shops and things like that.
So what did you learn from those early days that's helping you now?
I certainly learned that I was abysmal at education. I mean, I failed every exam I ever took. That was definitely not my strength. I think there's many lessons I've learned over the years. I think if I think about some of the lessons, I think, you've got to let people make mistakes. I remember when I first started hiring employees, if you don't let people make mistakes, then you're never going to grow. No one's perfect, including themselves. But no one's perfect. And you've got to grow, you've got to loosen the reins a bit, and things will be all right in the end. But you can't keep too close a control over everything if you truly want to grow a business.
Sure. So now they say we're coming into a recession. Now they've been saying that for a while, and we had a little recession last year with a very difficult financial markets around the world, with interest rates going up and commodities rallying, which is a rough time. So do you see any differences this year as compared to any previous years, like things you would do differently now because of the environment?
I mean, I'm not someone who has any knowledge in that world at all. So I'd start off by saying that. I'd also say, I think, my businesses can do well in a boom time, they can do well in a recession. So a recession doesn't bother me in terms of business. Generally, I actually personally think a recession is the best thing that could happen to us. I think, and I say that because there's so much uncertainty, because there's a recession that has been coming. I mean, we live in a world of cycles. This recession is overdue. If we weren't printing money in 2020, I think we would have had a recession in 2020. So I think this recession is so overdue. There's so much questioning of how bad is it going to be? And I don't think it's going to be super bad personally, but how bad is the recession going to be? And no one quite knows, and it's going to come at some point. I think the best thing we could do is have the recession so we can come out of a recession. Until you go in, you can't really come out of it. And so to me, it's sort of, I actually think a recession will be a good thing.
Nice. Well, interesting. We'll see. We'll certainly see what happens. So what else would you like to share with our listeners about entrepreneurship? I mean, there are so many aspects of it. It's really pretty fascinating, and you've done a great job, like with Zenvoy. For example, what motivated you to start Zenvoy? I've done a mix. I've started a lot of businesses. I've also acquired and built businesses as well. Had some successes, had some failures, like most entrepreneurs. I think, when I started Zenvoy, I had an idea. I thought there was a need for something. I launched and tried to listen to the market and tried to move as needed, what they call pivot. I think there's a new term they've got now. But the business pivots and you try and, you don't get too stuck into one thing. You find what's right for the market. The same with Thankz. I mean, as I said, Thankz has grown like a rocket, and we've, listened to our customers, worked out what it is they need or want, and, try and provide the right service that is for the market. So I think as an entrepreneur, the best thing you can do is listen. Don't try and be too stuck into your own ideas, because you don't know. I think for most of us, unless you're Steve Jobs, who knows more what everyone wants than they realize they want. For most of us, we're better to listen and adjust and evolve as we go along. And that, to me, is the best way to make a success. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, that as you got into it, you start hiring people and you get used to being someone to hire. The key, I think, is you build an idea and a model and you let people, as you say, run with it, and don't put restrictions on them that would hamstring their ability to do business. But how is it hiring people? Do you find when you find the right people, it works better, or could pretty much anybody fit into the model that you're looking for?
No, I mean, one of our secret sources, I'd say, is we're really good at working out who truly is the right person. Meaning, we know how to read between the lines, and, our team are good at, they go through, before we ever present someone to a customer, they've gone through at least 2, if not 3 interviews with us. As we go through the funnel, more and more people drop off because we've got different things we're looking for. So by the time that our customer meets them, we've got quite a tight funnel of people that we believe can really succeed. We're also really good at, our operations team's job is to be looking for patterns and looking for issues before the customer realizes. So, we've certainly turned around to customers in the past and said, this person, you may not notice, but this person is not gonna work out. Let's replace them for you. And we quite quickly line up a replacement. So, it doesn't always work. I find that if someone lasts, our drop off is, you've got a certain amount within 24 hours, certain amount within a week, certain amount within 2 weeks, a certain amount within a month. It's all relatively small as a total. But, once someone survived beyond a month, they'll often be with us long term.
Okay.
But you never know. I mean, I remember years ago when I had a big tech business in 98, 2001, in the first boom in the UK. And, hiring people in an office. We had a number of extremely senior people, I remember, that we hired who you realize almost straight away they're just not going to work. But you've been through multiple interviews, you use headhunters, you think they're perfect. So you just never know whether someone's going to be in your office or they're going to be 5,000 miles away. Often you just don't know until they start. So you do the best job you can do, and then you're just on top of it if it doesn't work, and deal with it quickly.
The best thing is to do is let them go. That's right.
Now, someone said something which stuck with me, actually. This was about 7 or 8 years ago, someone I met. She said to me, the trick is hire slowly, fire fast.
That's right. That's a great adage. It really is. And then the speed of your team determines the speed of your growth as well, which is great. So we have time to talk about a couple more companies. You just got companies everywhere here, Leo. The internet shopping portal that you eventually sold the Barclay card. Tell us about that. How'd you get started with that? And
that was a long time ago. I didn't know. Yeah. That was something with a couple of partners. We had an idea, so we launched what was the original comparison shopping network. And you'll remember this was before Google. Yahoo was the portal. You didn't have the intelligence of Google. It was sort of a directory.
Okay.
And that was, so we had editors, we were writing reviews, we were recommending products, and then we had an engine. We built this extremely intelligent engine that could go out and search for the different retailers who were selling different products and work out the best prices and things. And so we built that. That in itself is a long story. I think 3 years got the equivalent of 15 plus years worth of experience. We raised over 35 million. We almost went public for 500 million. And that in itself is a long story, but in the end, we ended up selling it, to Barclay card in the UK.
Right.
But at the time, it was the market leader across the UK, Germany, Sweden, and France.
Nice. Wow. You grew quickly. Another one you had is called Health Capital. Now, that was more recent, wasn't it? Health Capital.
So Heath Capital has been sort of my what I'd count as my private equity business. So it was sort of more of a holding company for different things I've done. But I've had a lot of different things I've done over the years. But I'd say these days very much focused on Thankz and Zenvoy. And before that, I'd say our main things were the consumer brands. So at one point had swim equipment business, which we grew substantially. We acquired that and then grew it. We had 4 handbag brands. We had a high-end lingerie business, ladies activewear business. So I had a few different things that I've done over the years. And I think it's all, it's all about building business and, taking advice and hiring the right people. So again, I've always believed in hiring strong people. So it's hiring the right people, but also, people who are at the next level. So the people you'd hire in a year are the people you should be hiring today, in my mind. So invest in the right people.
Nice. So you mentioned a role in a nonprofit training folks to be entrepreneurs. Could we talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a fantastic organization called NIFTY, Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. It's headquartered out of New York, been around for about 35 years now. I got involved in what at the time was called NIFTY LA about 12 years ago. I went on the board and I really fell in love with the organization. It's now NIFTY West, so we're the whole West region. And I became chairman now about 6 years ago of the West region to really help it grow. And I think it's about educating that next generation. I think the best thing that we can do is to help those less advantaged. And I think, education for children to middle and high schoolers is the best thing that we can do. It's our graduates are on average about 50% more than their classmates. And I always like to think of it, we call it the entrepreneurial mindset. What I personally say is what we're really teaching people is how to think differently and how to have confidence. Because to me, those are the two skills an entrepreneur has. And if we can teach that to these kids, whether they start a business or they get a job, most of them are not going to start a business. Most will go work for a company. But if they can go into a job interview with confidence, if they can think a little differently, they're going to get a better job. They're going to do well in life. And that's the best thing that we can really do.
So you show them, have you had any successes coming out of those groups, the folks you've developed?
I mean, yes, probably the biggest success. I mean, not me personally. This was before I was involved. I suspect the biggest success was probably the founder of Compass was over on the East Coast was in the NIFTY program. So yeah, one of the largest real estate companies I think in the US, or one of the largest real estate brokers in the US. So yeah, there certainly have been some successes and yeah, there's that end. But to be honest, I count as success as all the kids that I watch, the confidence that they get, and I watch as they grow. If I can talk to a 16-year-old, a 19-year-old I was talking to recently, who graduated from our program, and I watched the confidence she had compared with when I first met her 3 years ago in the classroom. I mean, to me, that's a success, and that will be with her for the rest of her life.
That's awesome. Have you teamed up with any of the folks that went through your nonprofit training program?
Personally, no. I mean, certainly we do mentor and we do help, and certainly other people have within our board and within our organization. Yeah, I mean, I'm very focused on what I do these days, and I've had times when I've done lots of different things, and I'm really focused on my two businesses plus the nonprofit at the moment. Yeah, I haven't got any more time left in the day to get involved in other things.
Between working out and everything else, how do you keep it all together with family?
I think it's one of the nicest things to me that came from COVID is my son, who was 14 back in March 2020, turned around to me and said, if I'm not doing in-person school, I'm not really working out, because he was never into the sort of club sports. He did more PE type stuff. So he said, can we do stuff together? And that's become, so for now, I'm at my desk by 5 a.m, but at 4:30 every afternoon, or at least 5 or 6 afternoons a week, I'm with my son. We work out in the gym for an hour and a half, or we do boxing,
Nice.
or something like that. And then we have some dinner together, we watch some TV together. So to me, that's a really important part of, I love that time with my kid. I also go away with my kids. So just being over in Boston with my son. I'm off next week to Seattle with my daughter. I go away sort of one-on-one with the kids as well. I think that's really important. So to me, it's spending that quality time whilst they still want to, because at some point the kids will decide they don't want to spend time. So
Do it while you can. That's right. That's great. Sounds like you have a real balanced life, and you're doing great things in the entrepreneur world. What do you see for going forward? Are there any other opportunities that you think might be out there that you'd like to tackle, or that you see that others might want to tackle?
I mean, I think the world is changing so fast. It's really hard. The crystal ball is pretty cloudy, but there's no question that AI is going to be a major part of the future. Although I read I read a great description last week that said AI is not going to replace your job. somebody who knows how to use AI is going to replace your job. So
Okay.
it's not about AI replacing it. It's about people, everyone in every type of business needs to learn AI and needs to learn how it can help their business. Because in the end, it's a fantastic tool for pretty much every business. I mean, I'm sure there's something that doesn't help, but most businesses, you know, it really can. It can be an added advantage. Some it can be a massive part of it. Some it's a small part. But I think I'm intrigued to see where AI goes. I mean, the growth in the last 6 months alone is just phenomenal.
Yeah. So in the 1960s in America, they said, young man, invest in plastics. And in the 1980s, they said, invest in computers. So today you'd say, invest in AI?
It's not about investing in AI to me. It's about whatever you invest in should be looking at AI.
I see.
So as in, it's not trying to guess what is the next best AI tool. Actually, to be honest, I think you're much better to invest in a business that knows that is nimble enough to use whatever the best AI tool is, rather than trying to guess, are you going to create the next open AI? You know, it's much more about, you know, I personally would avoid investing in businesses that say AI is not going to affect my business. But as long as as long as the CEO is understanding it, embracing it, then any business can make success of it.
Sure. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, great. Well, you've been a great guest. We really appreciate everything that you have been able to share with us. And is there any final message you'd like to leave with our listeners today?
You know, I think the one thing I'd leave is, I think a work-life balance is really important. You know, we all work hard, but you've got to enjoy life as well. And I think it's finding that balance between the two.
Nice. Excellent. Well, thanks again. You've been a great guest, and we will look forward to checking in with you again later on. And we'll learn about your next companies that you haven't even thought of yet.
Sounds good. Well, thank you. I enjoyed having a chance to chat with you, Brian.
Thanks, Leo. Thanks for being with us today. And we'll leave it there, everybody. Thanks for being with us on today's Market Explained, the 4-star podcast and media series. And we'll be back again with another great episode. Again, thanks, Leo.